Today we're here to talk about love people, use things. Let's get to the questions. Mallory, what's the first question?
안녕하세요. Thank you for this opportunity to meet you and interview. For those of us in Korea who are reading Love People Use Things, I would appreciate it if you could briefly introduce yourself.
My name is Joshua Fields Milburn. I am one of the minimalists from theminimalists.com. You might know me from our Netflix films or any of our New York Times best-selling books, including our most recent book. It's Love People Use Things, which is now available in Korea.
Please give us a brief introduction to your book, Love People Use Things. I'd also appreciate it if you could explain how you think readers should read it.
Love People Use Things is really an understanding of the 7 essential relationships that we human beings have in our lives. So our relationship with stuff, our material possessions, our relationship with our money, our finances and debt, our relationship with the people around us, our relationship with relationships, you could say. And so it's identifying these 7 essential relationships in our lives and then doing our best to eliminate any clutter that is in the way. How should you read the book? You can read the book however you'd like, but it is laid out in a way that walks you through letting go of whatever is in the way so you can focus on living a more meaningful life. The book starts with letting go of stuff. Well, not all your stuff, but the excess stuff that is preventing you from living a content and peaceful life.
Can you tell us a bit about your intentions in writing this book and the benefits of being a minimalist?
Well, the benefits of being a minimalist are so important to understand because if you don't understand the benefits of why you might want to simplify your life, well, then you can simplify your life, but then you reclutter it in the not too distant future. It is possible to let go of all the clothes in your closet and all of the dishes in your kitchen and all the furniture in your home and then just come home to an empty house and sulk because you've removed all of the things that you used to experience a more enjoyable life. Minimalism is not about getting rid of everything and living in a cave like a monk or an ascetic. Minimalism is about simplifying your life, getting rid of anything that is junk or anything that is in the way, anything that we perceive to be clutter, so we can actually enjoy the things in our lives much more. There's a strange paradox of minimalism. Minimalists actually get far more value from the few things they own than if they were to water them down with hundreds of thousands of excess items. Here in America, the average American home has more than 300,000 items in it. And that'd be great if it was making us happier or more joyous or more peaceful, but it's often doing the opposite. It's stressing us out. We feel overwhelmed. We feel like we constantly need more. That's the idea of the American dream, consuming more to make ourselves happy. The problem with that dream is it has permeated the borders of all 193 countries around the world. And so not only do you see it in Japan and Brazil and in England, you see it in Korea as well. We think we can buy our way to happiness. I don't have enough, and if I buy that, it'll make me happy. If I buy that, it'll make me feel complete. And that's what we call consumerism. Consumerism is an ideology that buying things will make me a more whole person, and it will make me happier. The problem with that is we've done that. We've purchased all of the things we thought were going to make us happy, and we felt a twinge of pleasure for a moment, but that pleasure faded. And those objects that were supposed to make us happy actually ended up making us discontented. Now, as a minimalist, I'm not against owning stuff. In fact, the things that I own add real value to my life, whether it's my car, my clothes, or my furniture. I get immense value from the things I own. The difference now is I don't need those things in order to be at peace. The objects that I own, they enhance my life in some way. They amplify my joy or creativity. But those things themselves are not happiness.
As I was reading the book, I was struck by your struggle to overcome your own severe wastefulness and your relationship with your family and friends. Can you tell us about one of the most memorable episodes in the book?
It's true, I was severely wasteful. In fact, I grew up really poor, and I thought the reason we were so unhappy when I was growing up is I didn't have much money. And so when I turned 18 and graduated from high school, I went out and got an entry-level corporate job, and I spent the next dozen years climbing the corporate ladder. And by age 30, I had sort of achieved everything I ever wanted. I had a six-figure salary, luxury cars, a big house in the suburbs, walk-in closets full of designer clothes. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things, but those things didn't do it for me. In fact, they did the opposite. I might have looked successful on the outside, but inside there was a lot of stress and discontent, and I was overwhelmed by this lifestyle that I was living. But I'm not the only one. The most memorable scene from our book, and there are quite a few, but the most memorable scene for me is of this couple that I met at one of the Minimalists' tour stops. Their names were Jason and Jennifer Kirkendall, and they were living their version of the American dream. They had all of the stuff, they had the kids and the pets and the big house and the careers and everything that was supposed to make them happy as well. However, they realized that as they became more successful and as they achieved more and acquired more, they actually became more disconnected. Disconnected from their community, disconnected from the people in their family, and disconnected from each other. They were living this American dream, but that American dream turned into a nightmare for them. And then something happened. They stumbled across our Netflix documentary called Minimalism, and after they watched that film, they realized they were surrounded by a bunch of things that were getting in the way of their lives. And they knew they wanted to simplify. And so they started simplifying. In fact, they rented this giant dumpster and they began throwing all of their excess stuff in it. And while that seems really wasteful to me, I understand the sentiment behind it. Simply get this stuff out of my life. It is in the way and I want it gone. And so that's what they did. And as they started simplifying their lives, they started feeling freer and happier and lighter. And there were people around them noticing that things were changing in their life as well. They were more connected with their kids. They were more connected with their community. They were calmer. They were more at peace, more tranquil. And at the very end of that simplifying process, the very last day before that dumpster was going to be hauled away from their home and all of their stuff was going to be removed from their life forever, all the excess things gone and just the important things remaining. That very last day, they're not really sure what happened, but while they were out at work, the dumpster caught fire. And because it was leaned right next to their house, their entire house caught fire and burned down to the ground. Now, thankfully, Jason and Jennifer and their kids and even their pets were okay. But all of their material possessions were gone in an instant. Gone. Everything that they thought was so important. Everything they had worked for years, for decades at this point. Everything was gone. It was overwhelming and it was terrifying to them. And when I talked to them, they said something really profound. They said it was freeing. You see, we had simplified our life over the last month. And we realized that we could let go of anything. It's just stuff. And yeah, there's some stuff that we really enjoy, some stuff we have to consume. Consumption is not the problem. The problem is compulsory consumption or consumerism, buying things because we think it's a part of us, part of our identity. And so not only were they forced to let go of the stuff, they were forced to let go of the identity that got tied up into all of those material possessions. And in a weird way, it was one of the best things that ever happened to them. While I never recommend you set your house on fire or get rid of all of your material possessions, know that it is possible to let go of anything so you can actually make room for what's important. Minimalism is the thing that gets us past the things so we can make room for life's most important things, which it turns out aren't those things, those material things, at all.
There are many people in Korea who overconsume, if not as much as in the US. What are some minimalist practices you recommend for Korean readers?
There are a bunch of things you can do to get started with simplifying. In fact, in the book, Love People Use Things, we have these 16 rules for living with less. There's one called the 30-day minimalism game. It's a great way to get started. You partner up with someone, a friend, a family member, a coworker, and you both decide, hey, we're gonna get rid of some stuff this month. I don't know where to start. I'm so overwhelmed by all my material things. Well, don't worry, because on day one, you just have to get rid of one item. One item on day one. It gives you that momentum you need. Anyone can let go of one thing, right? On day two, you get rid of 2 items. Day three, 3 items. Day four, 4 items, so forth and so on. So it starts off really easy, but by the middle of the month, it's day 15, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to get rid of 15 items today, and then tomorrow I have to get rid of 16 items, and the next day, 17 items. And the reason you partner up with someone is that other person's there to help hold you accountable, but it's also some friendly competition. Let's see who can go the longest, who can let go of the most things over the course of a month. So you can bet a really nice meal. Whoever goes the longest wins that meal. The other person has to buy that person dinner. But if you both make it to the end of the month, then you've both won because you've gotten rid of about 500 items. And that is a really great start. A few other rules from Love People Use Things that have really helped me. One is called the seasonality rule or the 90-90 rule. It's real simple. You pick up any item. I usually start with items in my closet. I look at an old sweater or t-shirt or pair of pants and I say, have I worn this item in the last 90 days? And if the answer is no, okay. Will I wear it in the next 90 days? Hence the 90-90 rule. And if the answer is no to both of those questions, then I can give myself permission to let it go. Now, my favorite rule is something we call the spontaneous combustion rule. And this rule has helped me so many times let go of something that I was struggling to let go of because of the story I was telling myself about that material possession. The spontaneous combustion rule is simple. You can pick up any item in your home. It could be a coffee mug from your kitchen. It can be your couch or coffee table. It can be a lamp that you don't use anymore. It could be an item from your attic or basement or storage locker. Whatever it is, you pick up any material possession and you ask yourself, if this item spontaneously combusted right now, if it just went up in flames, would I feel relieved or would I replace it? Now, if you'd replace it, well, it makes sense. Why would you want to get rid of that item? But if you look at that thing and say, you know what? I'd actually feel relieved if I no longer had to deal with that possession, well, it's probably a good idea to let it go.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this interview. Do you have any closing thoughts for our Korean readers?
The closing thoughts are simple. It's in the title of the book, in fact. Love people and use things because the opposite never works. Thanks for listening today.